Hello friends and welcome back to creating your mask. So hopefully you're able to get a hold of a base. If not, there's another video that I've posted here of making a mask, sort of a relief mask that sort of builds up layers of cardboard. So if you would prefer to do it that way, if you don't have your base and you don't want to do paper mache, that's an alternate way of making a mask if you would like. But if you've got this, the next thing you want to do is think about anything that should be or you want to have sticking out. So if you don't want the mask to be perfectly flat and smooth, you need to start forming shapes, things that would stick out from the mask that you would then layer the paper mache strips over. So I'm going to give you a few different suggestions here and ideas, and then you're going to go ahead and get yours started. So if you remember last time I had this long tube, cardboard tube, and I said I would probably cut it shorter. So I did that. I went ahead and cut it. And so you can see it has those little tabs or flanges on the end. And then on this side, you might notice I made some more cuts. So I was kind of playing around with it and manipulating it before I started this video. And the reason I did that is because I want to take this where it's cut and just sort of overlap and curl it around to make a beak shape. Okay, so I'm twirling it around where that cut is, and then for it to hold that shape I'm going to need some tape. Now masking tape works well. I couldn't find my masking tape, so I'm just using invisible tape. You probably have some somewhere in your house. I know I do, and I also have masking tape somewhere, but I found the invisible tape first, so that's what I'm using. So I am going to just take a couple pieces of tape and tape this up. Okay, so now I have a shape that could be sort of a large eagle type of beak. Now if you wanted a smaller beak shape, let's say something like this, what I did is I just took a little, this was my cardboard from the cereal box. So you can see I've been chopping at it. And so what you would do is you would take that, and what I did is I sort of bent it up a little bit. I laid it onto my table and sort of rubbed it so that it wouldn't be quite so stiff, so that it's bendable. Okay, so you can just take that and bend it around, and then you have a cone shape. Okay, so you would take, this is your tip, and then this would sort of wrap around and overlap like that. And then once again, you'd have to cut those little flanges. So I went ahead and did that earlier so you don't have to watch me tape it up, just so you can get an idea. Other options for you, here's another one of those same shapes I made, just a quarter of a circle shape. And I made a couple cuts in it. If I cut it in little strips like this, I then have something that could become an ear. And then, so if that's what you wanted, once again, you would have to tape it to hold it in place. And then you would need to create some flanges so that you could place it onto your mask. So you would maybe make a couple of cuts here and there. Okay. And what that does is that gives you the surface to then tape it on. Okay. So you don't want it to be sort of trying to just tape the edge of the cardboard on. You want to have a little more surface to attach it. All right, so if this were like an ear flopping down or something like that. Some other options, if you have paper plates, they work really well. I pulled out some foil. So let's say you're not doing, say, horns and beaks and things like that. Maybe you want to do a more human-like nose. Well, you can wad up some paper towel or some foil. I'm going to actually wrap that around, and then you can build yourself a nose shape, all right, and then get that how you want it to be. Cut off this excess foil and just sort of bend and shape it. So now I've got a little nose shape. And so once again, you want to be able to have some part, okay, that will tape on there. All right, well, you can see that. All right. Kind of quick. Again, it takes a little more time to shape it and so forth. So you have a few different options, but the idea then is to start taping those things to that jug. So I am going to just add a couple more pieces of tape because this is the one I'm planning to use. So I'm going to make sure it's not going to pop apart. And then I'm going to need to put tape on these little flanges. All right, so I'm putting some tape on the flanges. Okay, and then I'm going to add more in just a moment, but I just want you to see how that works. Okay, so then I've got my mask, and I'm going to just lay this on top where I want that beak shape to be. All right, so I have a few pieces of tape on there holding it down. I'm going to add a few more pieces of tape before I start putting my paper mache on there. So now I've got sort of this bird beak beginning. Now, if I didn't like this little bump here, if I wanted that beak to be a little wider, I could build it up more with maybe a little bit of foil or add more cardboard and so on. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Once again, you're going to be taking strips of paper mache and just laying it over this form that you're creating. And then this plastic is going to get taken off after you finish your mask. So you can wear it and it's just paper and it's a little more easier to breathe and so forth. And so you can even cut out nose holes or eye holes so that you can see through it. What we generally do in class, I reuse these every year, so we don't make any cuts or anything onto the plastic because we actually take the mask off the plastic at the end, and this tape will pop right off. It's not going to be permanent. So because if you're doing this at home, I mean, you could leave the plastic on there, but again, it might be a little less comfortable. It's probably a better idea when it's all finished and dry to take the mask off of this plastic base. So the base doesn't have to be a part of the finished mask. Okay, so this is just step one. The next thing we're going to be doing is making the actual paper mache solution. And again, there's options for that. Glue and water works well. Also, flour and water is an option. The only issue with flour and water is that you have to put it like somewhere where it's sunny to dry because it can get moldy. I've found through trial and error that the mold will grow on it if you're using the flour, more so than if you were using the glue. But if all you have is flour, that's fine. I will probably use glue. Another option might be cornstarch or laundry starch. Not quite as strong as the glue, but if you don't have glue, there are options available to you as far as what you're going to dip the strips in. So what you'll need when we do the paper mache, again, you're going to need some paper and you're going to need to tear it into strips. So you want to have that ready for next time. And you also are going to need a cup or a bowl or something to put some water in along with the glue, or if you don't have the glue, you can use some flour, some starch, or some other material that will thicken up that water a little bit and make those paper strips stick to the base. Okay, so today we're working on making anything that you want to be sticking out of the base, tape it on there, build it, and then we'll go ahead and paper mache over the whole thing next time. So good luck in your building.